Paint process has been completed, but simultaneously, before the product is being built in the final assembly area, the crossover network needs to be built, the grills need to be built, and so that process entails a lot as well that may be overlooked at times. As of a few years ago, we acquired a capacitor company, and we now make our own capacitors to the specifications for each speaker. And then the crossover network is built internally as well. And we're doing that point-to-point soldering, not on the circuit boards. It gives us some flexibility with that, the values of the crossover, and to get them as tight as we need them to be. Crossover network is soldered together, and then it is encapsulated in a resin that keeps it from vibrating when the speaker is being played. It also maintains the value that was spec'd in the design process. So it's measured, it's replicated, and the design stays the same. You get vibrations in shipping that we don't have to worry about because of the resin. It also helps to keep that network proprietary to Wilson Audio. Wilson Audio handcrafts our own cables as well, specific to the crossover of the Tune Top. And those have different twist ratios and are twisted and soldered onto the crossover network as well. We make the grills in-house by hand using our proprietary material. So we're taking all of these sub-assemblies that have taken a fair amount of time to build, and we've got the crossovers, the cabling, the metal, and the matched driver sets that all are going to be incorporated in with the dampening material in the enclosure, getting it ready for the final testing stage.
When I say Wilson Audio is a family-owned business, it's not just the Wilson part of Wilson Audio. Walking through the facility here, each department, there are fathers and sons, there are spouses, there are relatives in some way. I'd say a large percentage of our workforce here, our craftspeople, are related in some way. I think when you have a group of people like that, they care about each other, they care about each other's success, they care about each other becoming the best version of themselves. And by having an environment like that, and as my dad said, that we want to foster a culture of divine kinship, which means lifting each other up. We are more than what we are outside of the building, inside of the building. That's so much greater than that. And so we don't just look at people inside this building, the craftspeople inside this building, and they are what they produce that day. They're far beyond that. And I think when you approach business and personal relationships in that sense, with a genuine desire to foster divine kinship, it's amazing what people can do, and the level of comfort that you can feel in an environment that is associated with discomfort, the word work. We're creating together, we're building together, we're growing together, we're evolving as people together.
So after the speaker is assembled with all of these sub-assemblies, it goes into the QC lab for the final test. At that point, they're torquing the drivers to make sure that the drivers are torqued to the right specification and that it's uniform in its tightness. They're also looking at all of the paperwork, making sure that they have the correct drivers. There's a lot that goes on in the lab. So the drivers that are matched for the TuneTod and every speaker go through a break-in period. They go through a burn-in process where it allows us to run a signal through those drivers, and then we match them after it goes through that process. Also, the tweeter has a modification on the back of the tweeter that we make that is unique for the TuneTod, and that's performed in the lab. So the drivers are matched in the testing lab. The crossovers are tested before they go through the encapsulation we call potting process. And so they're ensuring that all of the cabling is, all of the solder joints are correct, all of the cabling is accurate, that the polarity is correct. With regards to drivers, they're made to our specifications, made for Wilson Audio, proprietary to Wilson Audio, and we make some other modifications to the tweeter in-house, and we're matching drivers within a 0.5 dB tolerance in the TuneTod. So in the testing lab, this is also the culmination of all of the paperwork that has been generated throughout the manufacturing process, and all the serial numbers, enclosure numbers of drivers, crossovers, and inspection points. This is paperwork that it gets filed and is associated with that speaker, with that serial number. And we have the paperwork from the first speaker that was ever made from Wilson Audio. So we're able to match drivers if something happens, or if something happens to those drivers. One gets damaged for some reason, we're able to pull an exact match that would be specific to that set of speakers. And that's how we build a TuneTod. It goes to shipping, and it's off for a new adventure.
That's all from us here in Provo, Utah. We hope this video gives you some insight into how loudspeakers are made right here in the USA.